Welcome to the Let's Get Entrepreneurial podcast, your go-to resource for navigating the world of entrepreneurship. Today, we'll be exploring the powerful problem-solving technique known as the 5 Whys. As entrepreneurs, overcoming challenges and finding effective solutions is a critical part of our journey to success.
Our podcast addresses tools and concepts that are useful for the launch and growth of entrepreneurial ventures. Your two hosts will be Professor Gary Palin and serial entrepreneur Ryan Budden.
Hello, Professor Palin.
How are you doing today?
Oh, couldn't be better.
That sounds good. How's the weather over there?
It's actually really awesome. If you have seasonal allergies, it's not a great time for you. I am struggling, but it's beautiful outside.
Great. Some nice Tennessee weather.
There we go. Yeah. For nice and predictable Tennessee weather.
Awesome.
We've got together today to discuss the 5 Whys, which I'm sure a lot of people haven't heard of it in that context, but once we start describing it, I'm sure that they're going to have cottoned onto it because it actually originated with the Toyota Motor Corporation in the 1950s. And a lot of gurus since then have picked up bits and pieces of it to bring it into a more modern context. So it's a pretty cool concept that I think will resonate with a lot of people.
It was originally developed for the manufacturing process of Toyota, but then it has expanded so that virtually any business can apply it in many different areas. And I think it's a great principle for entrepreneurs.
Right. No, I absolutely do too. Basically, the 5 Whys are when you have a problem and you're looking for a solution, ask why 5 times in a row. Don't just go with the first, well, here's the problem. The immediate solution is the website's broken. Why is the website broken? Well, it's because the servers are slow. Well, why are the servers slow? Because the architecture isn't set up correctly. Well, why isn't the architecture set up correctly? You go through that process 5 times and eventually come up with, well, we really need a designated server to host the spike in traffic during the 5 o'clock hour, which is when our website is being accessed.
Typically, 5 Whys will bring you to the root cause, which is what you're trying to do, is not to identify the symptoms, but to determine the root cause. Basically, ask as many whys as you need to get to the root cause. 5 is just the typical number that's used.
Right. Yeah, I've heard 7 as well as the other one that I've heard popularized.
Getting down to the root cause, how many whys do you need is the answer.
Yep. And as you said, I think it can be applied just about anywhere. Even if you're not talking about startup in your own life, I often find myself going through this exercise because I've done it so many times for businesses.
Very often you put a Band-Aid on the wrong thing, and the 5 Whys helps you determine where the Band-Aid really needs to be applied.
Yeah, that's a great way of putting it. You're not triaging the symptom. You're finding which part of the body needs to be addressed.
If someone's not visualizing this, a good example I think might be helpful. But let's say you run a small printing business and the quality of your printed materials is decreasing. So you ask, why is the quality of the printing decreasing? Well, the answer might be the printer's not applying the ink evenly. Okay, why is the printer not applying the ink evenly? Well, the printer heads are clogged. All right. Why are the printer heads clogged? The answer is this buildup of dried ink in the printer heads. Well, why is that? Then you get to the root cause is we're not performing regular maintenance on the printers, and therefore it's causing cloggage. So the solution is set up a regular maintenance system of cleaning the printer heads and all of your materials within the printers.
I like it. Overly simplistic, but it does illustrate really what you're trying to do with the 5 Whys.
I've seen other ones customers are complaining about at a restaurant, complaining the meal's not coming out in enough time. You keep going, why? The root cause is there's not enough dishes. The solution is go buy more dishes. It's that simple.
It can be that simple oftentimes, but instead you're focused on the ticketing system or whatever it is that's taking orders, not the fact that we simply don't have enough plates.
Yeah, well, the manager goes in and starts giving the chef a hard time for not processing the food quickly enough. And the chef is, well, the heck with this, and quits, and off they go.
Boom, done. You've made a bigger problem.
Exactly.
I see the 5 Whys being brought up a lot in sales as well. So when sales are increasing or decreasing, asking the 5 Whys to see, is it related to a campaign? What is the cause of this change in sales?
Yeah, definitely. I always like to look at what are the benefits of the 5 Whys. One is it develops critical thinking and a deeper understanding of problems. Also, and this is the most common, you identify areas for improvement. It encourages you to be proactive in addressing issues with your business. With that, you can apply it to a wide range of problems, as we just gave a few examples.
Another big reason to go through the 5 whys is, I think, just a healthy habit in general in business is to ask why constantly. Because if you can understand why things are happening, not just go with the wind, you're going to be able to make more intelligent decisions based on past performance as the business continues to grow. Oftentimes, even when sales are incredible, slowing down and asking why will continue that incredible growth. Whereas when sales start to slump after an incredible period, you're not going to be able to understand how to keep that momentum. You'll just let it dwindle at that point if you haven't been asking why throughout the process.
And you also want to embed this thought process to your entire team and your entire staff. So everyone is asking why.
Which can get uncomfortable.
And if you're driving a business, you're very busy. And very often the why becomes down to the minutia of which you do not need to get involved in the issue. That people involved in the direct report can easily resolve it if you teach them that process and they find out what is the root cause and they can fix it. You might never know there was a problem, which is a good thing.
Yeah, you never want it to be escalated all the way to you if you don't have to.
When you're driving a business, you don't want to get into the minutia of it because it definitely distracts you from the growth areas in the strategic thinking of the business.
Yeah, which is really hard, I will point out, when people first go from a really small team to that team growing. Giving the actual autonomy to those new employees so they can ask why and come up with solutions by themselves without having to directly involve you is a very difficult thing. Learning to adapt to that is a huge skill set.
It's very difficult, not just for the leaders, but also for the employees because they're not used to it. One of the first things that I like to look at is creating a culture of curiosity. So it's not just a culture of following the rules. I want them to be looking and curious at asking questions. And then also you have to have open and honest communication. So you can't have finger pointing associated with this.
That's absolutely key, right? I think a lot of people would shy away from doing something like that, the open curiosity, because they're scared that curiosity is going to get turned back on them. The decisions that they're making on a day-to-day basis are going to get questioned throughout that, and they won't have something to back it up.
Also, you have to be objective and avoid assumptions. How many times have you seen an issue being faced and it could be looking at a pain point for a customer? The team immediately says, oh, I know what the answer is and the solution is. And they start implementing the solution before they find out what the real problem is.
Yeah. So many times. I mean, I think we've all been guilty of that, especially if you've had lots of repetitions through this, because as soon as one symptom starts occurring, you apply a previous solution to it, thinking that's going to solve it, where in actual fact, this is a whole nother set of issues. Going through the 5 why process to make sure, even if it is still what you thought it was going to be, is actually accurate.
You know, I have done a lot of work in social entrepreneurship. And this is one of the big problems I see with social enterprises, specifically from the United States. They'll go internationally and they'll show up and they will say, oh, we're here to fix your problem. And the people are saying, well, it's really not a problem. And the company's saying, yes, it is.
I know we've done exercises with that specifically in social entrepreneurship. Your lens being applied to somebody else's environment can highlight a bunch of things that don't really equate to an issue for them.
Definitely. That's a culture that has to be developed within the company. It's a wonderful culture to develop, is asking why.
Stay curious.
In conclusion, I hope everyone enjoys the 5 whys. And I would be very interested in anyone has examples of 5 whys that they've applied to their business.
Absolutely. Would love any feedback of how this is being applied in day-to-day life for the people out there.
Well, until the next time, keep learning and growing and pushing the boundaries of your business.
Talk to you soon.
Sounds good. Thanks.
Thanks for listening to our podcast. As always, you can head over to ProfSpirit.com to check out more resources and courses designed for you, the entrepreneur. Please follow us on Spotify, Apple Podcast, YouTube, and others to get the most up-to-date information as it is released.